Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Pilgrim Story Hour. And on today's episode, I'd like to speak to you about this idea of anchors, those ideas, those beliefs that weigh us down and that truly prevent us from moving forward into the fullness of all that we can be. And the story that I'm going to share with you is actually one that took place during our walk from Rome to Jerusalem. And it was near the tail end of our time in Italy. We had been walking for almost 2 months by then, basically calling on churches or on monasteries or spiritual centers every night and looking for shelter. And I would say almost every single night we had received shelter. Now, we had just passed Venice and we're heading towards Trieste and the exiting point for us towards Slovenia. And the one night that we had arrived into this small town, we were very warmly received. So warmly received, it was incredible. The priest who took us in had seen that I was hobbling because I was suffering with pretty bad shin splints at that time. And he insisted that we spend at least an extra day for me to recover, which I, of course, gladly and very gratefully accepted. He also invited us to his home for dinner and to look after us and to speak to us. And this is something I'll never forget. He even washed my feet. He looked after my feet. Now imagine this elderly gentleman, this wonderful man, just insisting that I put my feet in water and just putting them in, soaking them, rubbing them, making sure to care for them. And it was a gesture that was beyond humbling, and it was incredibly touching. He even brought me some fluffy slippers to make sure that I was comfortable when I walked afterwards. And this was a man that truly, I felt, lived the spirit of what it meant to serve others. And Alberto and I had just, in a way, symbolically crossed over ourselves. We had taken a ferry, which was the first time that we had not walked to where we wanted to go, but we had taken a ferry from Venice and crossed over into what symbolically we felt were new shores, a new land, and we felt like we needed to do a small ritual, something to recognize the fact that we had crossed over to a new shore and that we were leaving behind our own fears and our own ideas of what used to define us and truly walking into the unknown, trusting that everything was going to work out for us. And we thought we're with such a good man. We're with a priest who was just so loving and so welcoming. And although I'd never taken communion before in my life, Alberto said, well, why don't we ask to take communion, not because of our beliefs in the church, but truly as a symbolic act of receiving into our lives and accepting and acknowledging and embracing all the love and all the guidance and all the divinity and all the wonderful things that were working out for us in this journey. And we thought, let's do it with this priest. Don Claudio was his name, Claudio. And so we approached him and we were very honest about it. I said, listen, we respect and honor your beliefs and your traditions, but, we don't believe in sin. We don't believe in hell. And for us, though, this is a way of communing and getting closer to the divinity, to the God, to the light that we feel is within us and all around us. And we would like for you to do the ritual that symbolizes that. And he was just so excited. Claudio was like, oh, it would be a great honor. I could see that he was truly touched and, the tears were in his eyes. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is a good thing. And so Alberto, in a moment, just said, oh, by the way, you do know that Mony is not baptized in the Catholic Church, don't you? You know that she's baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church, but that shouldn't be a problem, should it? And in that moment, the priest's face just went white. And he said, she's not Catholic. She's not baptized in the Catholic Church. And we said, no, I said, I believe we're all brothers and sisters, and I believe that it shouldn't make much of a difference. And he said, no, of course, we're all brothers and sisters of the same God, of course, but, your church has certain sacraments and our church has sacraments, and I don't know if my bishop would allow me. I don't know if this is something that would be acceptable. And all of a sudden, all of the love and everything else that he had poured into receiving us seemed to us just kind of to fade away under that anchor of what he must do and what he should do, and what the rules and regulations oblige him to do, rather than looking at his heart and following his heart and what in his heart he knew to be a request that was coming from individuals who were trying to bring that sense of divinity in God into their lives and to embrace that. Needless to say, I was shocked, I was hurt, and in my hurt, I said maybe things too strongly that I shouldn't have said. And I said words along the lines of, God doesn't care what sacraments you perform. God doesn't care about rituals; those are man-made rules and structures that keep individuals further away from God rather than bringing God closer inside to them. And I regretted those words when I said them, and I knew they were coming from a place of hurt. But of course, I couldn't take them back. I did apologize to him, but I could see that I had caused hurt that was irreparable. But it did obviously force us, and I know him, to truly reflect on this idea of what it is that keeps us weighed down, those anchors, those beliefs, those rigid ideas that seem so inflexible and that keep us where we are, rather than liberating us and allowing us to move freely in this world. So as you are as well on your pilgrimages, as you are walking, reflect for a moment on your own personal anchors. What are those rigid ideas that you absolutely will not reconsider? And are they truly serving you in your journeys as you move forward in your life, as you walk as more open individuals, as pilgrims, not only on the Camino or on any path, but as pilgrims who are walking this world, bringing light, bringing love, bringing kindness into the world as well. So I hope you enjoyed this story. As always, if you'd like to learn more about me or about my journeys, walkingforpeace.com is my website, and Walking for Peace and Inner Journey is the book where I shared this story and so many more others. Thanks for tuning in to this episode, Pilgrims, and have a muy buen camino.